Okay, so let's go through an introduction about the course. And in order for me to do this, what I will do is I will tell you two stories. Okay, the first story is all about Waze. Okay, I'm pretty sure that everyone has used Waze. Well, not maybe not recently because of the pandemic, but pre-pandemic, a lot of us have been using Waze. So let me tell you my experience about using Waze. Um, Normally, I use ways to try to get to school on time. So there is a bit of a planner in me, and what I normally use in Waze is a feature called Waze Plan Drive, wherein what you can do there, that feature allows you to identify at what time you should leave in order for you to get to your destination at a certain point in time. So it really does help. And all of the data in that Waze Plan Drive feature is based on historical information. So normally I want to arrive in Ateneo at 8:45 because my classes start at around 9:30 or at around 10. Okay? So that time frame from 8:45 to the start of my next class, or at least the start of my meeting, is enough time for me to settle down, get maybe a cup of coffee or some water, uh, and calm down before I start my day. According to the Waze Plan Drive, I have to leave the house at the latest by 8:14 in order to arrive at 8:45. Now, if I do follow the planner in me, I would believe Waze, but at the back of my mind, really, it will just take me 31 minutes to get from my house to Ateneo. And just to tell you how far my house is, I live in Fairview, okay? And we normally call it a far view because it's far away. And at the same time, there's a lot of construction happening, and traffic there is normally erratic. Waze uses a very average set of data, or gets the data and averages it to determine what's the best time for you to leave. So this really, if I use the planner in me, I would use this and leave the house at 8:14. But there is also a disbeliever in me. I already mentioned that. So my initial reaction would really be, what? I know it's traffic along Commonwealth. I know it's traffic along Tandang Sora, two major choke points going to Ateneo from Fairview. And I do say no way is that correct. So in my mind, instead of saying I will leave the house at 8:14, I plan to leave the house at 7:30. Uh, so that happens the night before. So I know I should be awake way before that because I have to help my wife prepare the kids, feed the dogs, and so on and so on. There are a lot of other things I have to do. So the realist in me sees this, that on the day that I want to leave early, I'm supposed to leave by 7:30. I'm running late. The kids haven't yet eaten their breakfast. They're still not done finishing all of their um, uh, preparations for school. Um, and based on initial calculations or from history, yes, kung hindi ako aalis ng 7:30, maybe I can leave at least no later than 8. Kasi if I leave no later than 8, I still know that I can still get to Ateneo by 8:45. So the planner in me tells me I can leave by 8:14 because if I use Waze Plan Drive. Then the disbeliever in me says no, I should not leave by 8:14 because I cannot arrive in Ateneo in 31 minutes. So I say to myself, no, I will make it earlier and try to leave at 7:30. And then here comes the realist in me, and reality sets in, and okay, sige, what's the compromise? I should not leave by 8:14. Maybe by 8 or 8, 7:45 or 8, I can leave and at least get to Ateneo by 8:45. So did it actually work? Yes, I was in Ateneo by 8:45, but what I did forget was that still have to look for parking. Okay. So um, There was this one time wherein, yes, I tried this out. I I had a 9 o'clock meeting, confident that I would be there. Yes, I arrived in Ateneo 8:45, although I was parking in the teacher's parking slot. I did not actually get to the meeting at 9 o'clock because I still had to look for parking. So there are still other things that are not part and parcel of the Waze application that I also have to end up considering. So that 8:14 to 8:45 really considers the destination from point A to point B. What you do before you leave and when you get to that destination is not factored in that particular time computation. Okay? So that's something about Waze that I have experienced. And one of the things that actually, when Waze came out, I did ask myself is, can we really trust Waze? Meaning, is there a way for people to actually manipulate the data of Waze? Actually, yes. In one article that I saw from wire.com, uh, what happened was that there was this one road in the United States where all of the cars are being redirected because apparently it is a shortcut going to a popular destination. Okay? So the people who live there actually put fake data in Waze, and they reported that there were accidents there. They reported it was traffic there. They reported a lot of things so that Waze reflects that there is some congestion in that area. And instead of asking the people who use Waze to pass through that road, they redirect them to another route. And I think there was this one um, viral post in Facebook wherein there was this one person who cheated ways in terms of identifying that there's congestion there by pulling a wagon consisting of 100 phones, simply reporting that there is traffic also there. Okay, they're all logged into Waze, and it's really traffic there. Okay, since you have 100 phones there, each of those phones reporting that they're all there, then it was reported as a congestion already. So, and this was just done by one person pulling a wagon with 100 cell phones. So, in a way, yes, you can manipulate the data of Waze. One more question that I asked myself: do you think Waze's ETAs are accurate? Okay, ETAs are your estimated time of arrivals. Well, in reality, when you fire up Waze, it will give you a historical average ETA, meaning like what happened to me. Historically, it says it will take you 31 minutes from. Historically, it said it will take you 31 minutes from Fairview to Ateneo to get to it. But along the way, and your tendency is you might end up believing it. But along the way, what you will notice is that Waze will constantly update. The original 31 minutes, as you drive maybe 10 minutes later, you would see, no, it's going to be 40 minutes. Then it gets longer, an hour. Then somewhere down the line, it will get shorter, 10 minutes. Along the way, Waze adjusts the ETAs. So when you fire up Waze, and you start off your traveling, we all know we will not believe it, or we hope actually in our heart of hearts that we can actually believe that we will arrive to our destination in the ETA promised by Waze. But historically, we do realize no, it's not. So along the way, these ETAs are adjusting. Okay. Waze actually considers a stoplight not as a stoplight, but as an intersection where there is congestion. So you might be seeing a lot of red lines along Waze and you're thinking it's traffic. Think about it first. Does that area have a stoplight? If it does, then that red congestion may just simply be caused by the traffic light and not because of a real traffic. Okay, so that was the first story. Let's now go to the second story. It's not technically a story, but something that you as students have encountered in your economics or maybe in your management classes. One of the most popular tools that is taught in management, especially in operations management and in basic economics, is the concept of an economic order quantity. And it is a decision tool, rather a formula, and we can use that formula. We can say that it is a decision tool that is used in cost accounting. It allows you to compute the ideal quantity of inventory that a business should order for a given product, and it is designed really to minimize the ordering costs and the carrying costs of the raw materials that you've ordered. So instead of constantly ordering, what you want to do is say, how much do I order at a time and how often? So that instead of paying for shipping every time, I can minimize that shipping cost. So that's the essence of what an economic order quantity method is. And from an academic perspective, what we normally do is teach you the formula, teach you the model, and then to test whether you know about it, we give you a textbook question like this one. So the question is set up, what is the situation, and then it gives you a whole host of data that you can use in order for you to plug into the formula and get the result. So in this case, it's about a hollow block factory. The annual demand is 4 million hollow blocks. Each bag of cement is enough for roughly 20 hollow blocks, and the ordering cost is 5,000 per order, and the holding cost per unit per year is 20 pesos. So the basic question is, how many times do I order and how many should I make per order? Okay? And that question is answered by using the economic order quantity. So if you want to solve it, I have here the formula. So there's the economic model and there's the formula. All you have to do is plug in the values. Okay, I won't go through the whole formula itself, okay, because this is not an economics or an operations management class, but there's the demand. You have 4 million hollow blocks, 20 hollow blocks per bag of cement, so you technically need 200,000 bags of the cement. You have 5,000 peso ordering cost and a holding cost of 20 pesos. So if you just plug those things in, Q will tell you that you will need to make 10,000 bags of cement per order. And because you need 200,000 bags of cement for the whole year, so it's 200,000 divided by 10,000, you need to make 20 orders per year. Okay, so it seems a very nice and neat formula to determine how many times you're going to order and how many are you going to make the order. But let's be realistic. If you and your family, or if you have a family business, do actually use an EOQ to determine this. Most small to medium scale enterprises, which comprise around 99.x% of the whole business environment of the Philippines, order using a very naive strategy. Meaning, if there's if they see that the stock is going down, then they just order. Some of them might have a very primitive way of ordering, meaning if it goes below 10 or an X value, then they will start ordering. But they don't forecast and say, or if ever they do also forecast, it's also naive. It's going below 10 and that's when I order. Oh, it's 20, but next month is December. So I know that during December I have a lot of orders. So even if it's 20 na or 20 pa lang, I will order na. So in a way, businesses don't use the EOQ. We use a very naive strategy or maybe some other criteria as basis. And just bring it further close to what we know, here's a very basic business perspective that some JSEC stalls do encounter. One JSEC stall, not yesterday, but before, already ran out of raw materials at around 1 p.m. and had nothing else to sell to their customers. What would you recommend as to how they should proceed from here? Okay, so their ordering process was already faulty, and their management students. did you think that you would have expected that they would have used the EOQ, something that we quote unquote taught in class. But again, they just do it by gut feel or in a very naive manner. Okay? So that's the second story. And what do these two stories tell us? Or so what do these two stories tell us? Or what point do I want to make? The point is when we make decisions, okay, when we make any decision, there are certain things that we normally consider. Okay, the first thing that we do consider is that we need some sort of quantitative method, whether that quantitative method is as complex as EOQ, as complex as the Waze computation of ETE, or something just as simple as identifying how much more do I need to order. Okay, not using the EOQ, but in a very naive manner. So in a way, there is some quantitative method associated with it. Even if you're saying, sir, we can do it qualitatively. When you do it qualitatively, there's some quantitative method of uh, computing, or how many people said this, how many people said this. Okay, so you can quantify any qualitative data that you get. Okay? The second one is when you do end up making the decision, there is some strategy involved. And when we talk about strategy, the strategy is, okay, I know that I should do this. Should I take it at face value? Or should I just use that information to make another decision? There's some strategy also involved there. Maybe you might also need some sort of technology like Waze, or you can use Excel to automate the, what do you call this, the computation of the EOQ, or even a calculator. Okay? Anything simple, you can use something simple computation, you can use something as simple as a calculator. Anything more complex, you might need a computer really. And lastly, you might need some sort of psychology. You have to think like how the other person is thinking, or you might also need to think in such a way na, okay, should I think in this way? Should I think logically, or should I think irrationally? Should I think with the use of emotions, or should I just simply use a logical way or a rational way of making a decision? So when we make decisions, these are some of the things that we use. And if we abstract all of them, we say that in making decisions, we need a mathematical formula, we might need some business tactics, we might need some technological applications, and we need some input from behavioral science. And this, combining all of this, would allow us, hopefully, to make what we call not just a simple decision, but data-driven decisions. And that is what you're going to expect in the coming weeks. I will show you some formulas that you can use, some business tactics and perspectives that you can use, some tools that we can all use to automate these formulas, and a lot of behavioral science in terms of understanding as to why people make these types of decisions. So that is an introduction of what the course will tackle. And I hope that you will be interested moving forward. Thank you, and I'll see you in the next pages.